Hey guys, my name is Mark from Jazz Guitar Lessons. Welcome to this 90-day challenge where I will guide you through a structured practice routine to explode your skills in jazz improv, jazz technique, and comping in the next 90 days. So stay tuned, this is going to be a rapid fire video. Here's a very practical application of everything that you can see on YouTube thus far and on the fellowship. So first, I'll recommend you join the fellowship because each month you can scroll here and there's a pinned post for the tune of the month, the challenge. You can pick that tune and just be surprised, or you can pick one of the tunes you'd like to work on. First step, I'd like to think of the next 90 days. Put this down on a piece of paper, pin it to your wall, put a tune every month. That's your practice routine for now. All right, what we'll be doing is effectively running through each of the steps that you have to run through each standard, which I'll give you in detail at the end of this video. First off, what are the steps? The steps are built to make you a competent player doing a minimal version of each of the song in the comping, improv, and playing the melody, chord melody department, okay? So the first step is really to figure out the chords, call this the staples, what chord voicings you want to use, out of time. Second step will be to play these chords in time. Third step is concerned with chord melody. That term would be minimal or thin chord melody, something you can play at tempo. Number 4, we're going to make the changes, which is pretty specific to jazz soloing. And 5, we put it all together in what I call a synthesis step. Beyond the step 5, after you achieve this with one of your songs now fall into the retention category. Meaning, you had the problem, I learned a tune and then 2 days later I forgot it. Now we're going to make sure we don't forget it. So I would like to have your playing for the next 90 days subdivided into 80% acquiring new tunes and 20% maintenance. Beyond the point of 3 tunes you will aim at 5 or 10, then retention is going to start to be a bigger issue, as well as the other steps in the process, which would be increasing your vocabulary. I just recommend you go to this page right now, jazzguitarlessons.net/process. This is the exact process I use with myself, with my private students in the Accelerator program, link in description. And this is where we can really quickly ramp up your competence in learning standards. What we're doing with the 90-day challenge is we're not getting concerned with the technique, with scales, with arpeggio or anything. We're getting concerned in the question, how do I play jazz standards? How do I perform jazz standards? And this question is answered with the first 5 steps. Ultimately, it's going, well, I gotta play the chords in the song and improvise minimally, and then I know the song, right? So how do I play jazz standards? How do I play 3 standards in 90 days? Which is perhaps more than you've done your entire life, right? If you're watching this, then that's a really good quick win, right? And then the second part of this, which would be process step 6 and step 7, the different phases here are how do I get better at? Meaning, how do I increase my jazz vocabulary so I get better at performing the tunes I already know? But it's really hard to implement step 6 and 7 when I don't have anything to apply it upon. So if you don't know Stella by Starlight, all the things you are, blues and B flat, and all these beautiful, nice standards, Blue Bossa, Autumn Leaves, Days of Wonder and Roses, if you don't know those, you don't have a laboratory to implement your chops. So you may work chops in the empty. So last 2 words before we get into the process. Number 1, this is typically how guitar instructors, or especially jazz teachers of all instruments, go about this. They will say, here's technique. They put it at the foundation and go, you got to learn all this technique first before you do the thing you want to do, right? All the scales, all the theory, all the positions, all the exercise, all the chops. And then maybe after, if you're good enough, we're going to start to tackle the songs, which to me doesn't make sense at all. So I flip this around. I go, let's start with a song. Let's have a solid routine, 80-20. Remember, 80% work on the new tunes, 20% retention. And then let's be competent on that and let the need for the techniques we need emerge from working on these standards. If you don't know a scale, you're going to be well aware that you don't know the scale for Autumn Leaves and this bar. You're going to work on it, right? So this is my teaching philosophy, which is a little bit reverted. And last note before we get in this 5 steps, I'm doing this a bit selfishly. I want to help people, right, to have a bigger impact. So if you're watching this and I never talk to you, or you never take lessons with me or whatever, it's fantastic. But also, if you do have the intention of meeting with me as your one-on-one coach, I have proof that it works. Take the coaching with Mark. How do I know it will work? Well, it already has, right? If you follow that process on YouTube and you get the results, you can only benefit from more coaching, more hand-holding, getting your video feedback and precise reviews and getting one-on-ones and whatnot, right? So let's get going with the process in 5 steps. Okay, what I want to do here is start with Autumn Leaves because it's a rite of passage. We're going to do it in the key of E minor. So the first notes of the melody are E, F sharp, G, and C, and the first chord is E minor. Not to be misled with Autumn Leaves in A minor. That's actually in G major or E minor, all right? So the first step is called staple voicings, and you can find a link in the description for the full training on the fellowship on this. I will encourage you to grab a lead sheet, and you will replicate this with all your tunes. Look at the symbol and pick one voicing for each symbol. I recommend the staples, root on the 6th string, root on the 5th string, with movable chord shape. So that's A minor 7 to D7 to G6 or G major 7, G6, I love G6, C major 9, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to B7 sharp 9 or flat 9 to an E minor, just do plain open E minor. That's the first 8 bars. So your job in step 1 to scratch it off is to have a full version of the song out of time that you just pluck the chord, it sounds clean and beautiful and complete, and you can transition to the next quite easily. Avoid this mistake, avoid going right? We don't want that. We want the chord and go, it's ringing, where am I going next? Next one, boom. Where's the next one? Boom. We avoid the gap, yet we don't really count and play in time. That's it for step 1. Please do this on 3 songs in the next 90 days, and you can use a little checkbox like a to-do list to make sure you do it. Film yourself doing it, post it to the fellowship. All right, on to step 2. So step 2, we're going to take our staple voicings and we're going to take them through what I call the conveyor belt. This is where we do it in time, and I recommend, say you're doing Autumn Leaves, for instance, I recommend you do it simply with a Charleston rhythm throughout the entire form. Count yourself in. You can use iReel, you can use your metronome, or a friend comping for you. I love tapping my foot and just counting, so I'll give you a demo for the first 8 bars. Ready? Also, there's a link in the description for further training on that where I fully go through the entire thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Don't let the simplicity fool you. Record yourself and do it. 2, 3, 4. Right, so that's the song. Step 2 is simply playing the chords in time. If you can do both, you are 2/5 of the way of completing that song for that 90-day challenge. So I think you can probably work on a song per month, or perhaps faster if you're more advanced. Hey, if you do 3 songs in 3 months, that's a win. If you did 5 songs in 3 months, man, that's amazing. Let's move on to the next step. The third step of the process, I like to call it chord melody, although there could be another label on it, because I'm not referring to full-fledged, really complex chord melody. I mean a process where we can hear the melody and we hear some comping. So I recommend, again, you follow the link to the fellowship. There's a version of Autumn Leaves by yours truly, which is I call it the Essentials version. It has a chord melody that sounds approximately like this, right, like that, but it is in time. And then the second time around, it goes like, so we have the top melody that's held up with the chord punches under it. You can learn it verbatim, or you can pick the song that you are working on and create a minimalistic version of your chord melody. Call it thin chord melody, if you will, right? And the purpose here is not to be bogged down with something that's so arranged and so complex that you have problem transitioning. We want to hear the melody, and I think that melodies on top strings is pretty boring if it's just naked like this. Crickets. I think there's plenty of space so we can fill the space. So I avoid teaching students just a plain melody, but also avoid the extreme of the chord melody. It's to find a balance, right? So call it a thin chord melody, and a test of a thin chord melody, something simple, is putting on the time and seeing if you have to cheat yourself. If you put iReel Pro, iReel just carries on. It doesn't care, it's not waiting for you. So I recommend you do that at a relatively slow pace, and you can create your own arrangement. You can grab any of my essentials for free right on the fellowship, or you can grab another book, say a Barry Galbraith Solos book or any good old standards. Look at the thing and make it as simple as possible while we still retain the melody and the harmony. Okay, now that you can perform the chords out of time, the chords in time, and a chord melody minimalistically in time, you are 3/5 of the way to doing the full thing of your 90-day challenge. The fourth step is concerned with making the changes. And it's not what you think. If you've never been exposed to this, you will find out that what I love to do is start simply with the note that gives us the most bang for our buck. And that note is third degree. The third degree is the most chord defining note, especially if we resolve well into it. So there are multiple layers. If you're just getting acquainted with this and you want to do the 90-day challenge and post your videos, I would say plenty of stuff is going to come out of just seeing the third, playing it right on beat 1. Autumn Leaves happens also to have the third on beat 1, so third. That's the third of G, right? So that's going to require a bit of legwork in your mind, but that's really good. Let me just do Autumn Leaves with no bass notes. I'll just count quickly and play the third on beat 1 of each. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's just putting the third right on beat 1. So that'd be the first layer. Where are my thirds? Can I play them in time? Can I wing this, put I reel, and not skip a beat and just know where they are? The next step will be to add one note targeting into it. I like to see it like a plane landing. So I go, third is there, and I go from above, everyone together, into the third from above. So if I'm on that chord, I go, look at that, that's my third. Cool. What's above? That's just go up a fret or two. Typically it's 2 frets, or 1 fret depending on where we are in the key. Eyeball it, and earball it. Is that a word? Earball it. Go, this is on beat 4 and this is on beat 1. So I'll do the first 8 bars of the progression quickly to give you an example. Again, in the fellowship, there's a full demo of this in which I run the gamut of all the thirds connections. So third right on the beat and 1 note approach. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's like, beginning to target. And there are several different milestones and cracks or tweaks. You could go like 7 levels on a metronome to crank it up. I'll give you a good milestone by the end of your 90 days if you've never done this, okay? The milestone is 3 note approaches from above in 8 notes, all right? So if you've never done this may feel overwhelming, but it's fine to slow the time down, to work on this for a week or more, and then submit your video to the fellowship. Because at this point, you will have all the different components of the tunes almost. We're almost there. That's step 4 out of 5, right? So playing 3 8 notes will sound like this. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So I'm playing and 4, and 1. So there's 3 targets, 3 approaches, and the target. Meaning that we start a line on the end of 3. There's 3 8 notes in the end of the line. Just tipping my hat to Hal Galper with Forward Motion, which introduced that concept in his book, which is fantastic. So I'll give you a bit of a rundown of how it could sound with 3 8 note approaches, not too fast. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, da 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 da. Whoops, sorry. It's live. Mistakes are bound to happen. You know what matters? Keep going. The form keeps going. iReel is not catching up to you. iReel is just going to keep going. Your bandmates are going to keep going. So keep going and build up that tolerance. Again, that's a good milestone. It's not, I wouldn't say it's advanced, but I would say it's a good place to be to go, yeah, I got my foundations. Once you can do targeting from above 3 8 notes on any chord and you can wing it, then there are plenty more ways to do that. People say, I want to use an enclosure. Be my guest. You want to do an arpeggio up, resolving down. You want to do this or that or that. They all work. They're all fine. But now I'm segmenting the work to go, what's the minimal thing you can do so you have an impact? That's the goal. So just to recap, you got your chords down out of time. You got them in time with a little Charleston on the form. You got a minimal chord melody. And now you're able to make the change on each. You're not concerned with shredding on blues scales or learning all arpeggios and scales in all positions and then shredding with the flat lines. You don't have to do that. You can just resolve properly and then you're fine. And let's move on to the fifth and final step of this 90-day challenge. Step 5 of our process. You've made it. Congratulations. You want to achieve step 5 on at least 3 tunes within the next 90 days. And then you can shoot me an email, mark@jazzguitarlessons.net, or, send me flowers or something, because you can say, oh my God, Mark, this works. Yeah, it works. It does. It does. It does with me. It does with students. It's fantastic. Plus, it's like air. The most beautiful things in life are free. It's just a segmented process in which you can divide and conquer, do the work. My step 5, I like to call the synthesis. So we synthesize by saying, well, if I'm able to achieve step 5, I don't really need to look at step 1, 2, 3, 4 anymore, because I will know the song. Here's step 5. I like to call it the jam session. So feel free to put on iReel or to use one of the jams that you have on the fellowship for free with the link below. And in the jam, I have to do 4 things. And I refer to this on YouTube as my 4CE. Thank you, Michael, one of my first guitar instructors. 4CE stands for 4 chorus exercise, 4 chorus exercise. So there are 4 choruses in which we do 4 different roles. First one, head in. Last one, head out. Head in, head out. Pretty easy. In the middle, I'm going to do head in, a bit of comping, then a bit of improv, and head out. That's it. Caveat. You can play bits of your chord melodies for the head in and or the head out, or just one of the two. It's sort of a review step. Go, dude, can I play that song? Oh yeah, I know the song. I'm just not going to chunk the chords. The chords are not the song. The song is the melody and the stuff I worked on. Okay, perfect. I got it. I got it in. I got it out. I'm playing in good time. Second step, comping. Well, what do? You ad-lib a comping from what you learned in the first 2 steps. You can use your staples. If you know inversions and passing chords and flat nines, be my guest. You just jam. You're doing it on the fly, just attempting to do a complete version. What do you do for improv? Then that's a big question. I recommend you do some of the making the changes without making it too rigid. So I would say let step 4 inform your improv, what you're going to do in step 4. In step 5. If in step 5 you wind up shredding on blues notes and stuff, it's beautiful. You are just jamming. So at a minimal level, to achieve the 90-day challenge, you want to have reached the synthesis step of 5 steps on at least 3 standards. Autumn Leaves, Blue Bossa, Stella, All the Things You Are, Giant Steps, 26-2, Countdown, Girl from Ipanema, whatever. You can even be bebop tunes. Now, caveat, when you do bebop tunes, you will likely not want to do a chord melody because it's pretty intense, all right? So what we have so far is 90-day challenge wrapped up in 5 steps. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, recap. I want you to think about this in divide and conquer mentality. You got your 3 standards that you picked up front. You know you have 5 steps each. It does mean 3 times 5 equals 15. You have 15 assignments that are due with yourself as your coach, or you can use your own one-on-one teacher if you have a local teacher to do, hey, man, keep me accountable to these things. Okay, sure, right? Or you can post this to the fellowship or do both. And naturally, if you need more coaching and resources, you can see if you can get a spot on my schedule, and then we can talk. I can explain the process. And this really does work. We can accelerate it. Most of my students will typically cover a new song every 2 to 3 weeks with these steps. Now again, you have 15 assignments within 90 days. You will be amazed. Track your time, track your progress. Things will start to change drastically. And again, before I let you go with this, there are 2 more advanced steps in the process document. So jazzguitarlessons.net/process. And again, I don't recommend you dig into steps 6 and 7 until you got at least 5 or 10 tunes together that you can really achieve the first jam sessions. And then, post a comment. Let us know how you did. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on Jazz Guitar Lessons. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your video posts, your questions, and all the massive improvements you're going to do in the next 90 days. Okay, take care. Talk to you soon.